Hello. I'm Stéphane Bidet, CEO and co-founder of Hilo, and I'm pleased to be here with Philippe Rocol on stage.
Hello everyone, so Philippe Rocol, working at Sanofi in the digital healthcare space for diabetes and cardiovascular. Happy to be here with Stéphane.
So we're here to talk about our technology and to talk about how we leverage our tech through partnerships that we have with Sanofi that was announced earlier this year at Vivatech. And
So just a few introduction about diabetes. Today, about 160 million people are treated with insulin, and this is increasing every day. So we feel that it's a huge burden for the patient to be controlled. The other point is that today technology is evolving. You have access to CGM, constant glucose monitor. You have access to connected pen. You have access to your Apple Watch data, and the increase of data makes the treatment of patients with diabetes more complex. So the idea is today to see what we can do about the data and to help the patient be better treated. If you look at patient data, the most important thing is that the patient stays in his range. Okay, you have to set your glucose objective and you have to stay within this range. Okay, 70% of the patients today are not controlled, and this leads to huge consequences and comorbidities. So with Stéphane and with Hilo, so we decided to work on how can we improve patient treatment, how can we improve patient care overall. And Stéphane, can you tell us a little bit more about what you guys have developed for patients with diabetes?
Okay, so yeah, thanks Philippe for the introduction on diabetes and the day-to-day hassle it is for patients and healthcare professionals. So if we go back to the patient, like you said, Philippe, has a lot of tools to monitor his glycemia, to inject insulin. And all these tools generate a vast amount of data. And that's a problem for the patient, which is helpless facing daily decisions to start with. But it's also a problem for HCPs that have too much data to analyze prior to and during visits. And so what we do at Hilo is we leverage all that data to build personalized AI-based decision support tools for both HCPs, healthcare professionals, and patients. And so how we do that? We have a technology that constructs digital twins of patients using their data. A digital twin being a model of the patient's glycemic response. And so we use that model to simulate variations in blood glucose levels by adapting specific components of the dataset of the patient. For example, the dose of insulin injected, the time of the injection, the same with meals, etc. And the goal of our AI is to replicate the glycemic response of the patient as closely as possible, accounting for these changes in the dataset. And then we have a few use cases that we've developed with our technology. So the first use case is about simulation and prediction. So basically, healthcare professionals can use the simulation capabilities of the digital twin to anticipate how changes in lifestyle or treatment plans may impact the glucose control of the patient. And the patient can do the same real time by using the digital twin to predict blood glucose levels. The second use case is to use the digital twin for intelligent data analysis of the patient by extracting factors that lead to hyperglycemia, so basically glycemic excursions, which patients want to avoid. And this way, the HCPs can spot what the patient is doing wrong and help educate the patient so he can adapt his habits to reach a better glycemic control. And the last use case is about personalized medicine. So here we use the digital twin to propose dose recommendation, insulin dose recommendation real time to the patient, or we can use it also to propose tailored treatment plans to HCPs, again, to help maximize glucose control. And all this is done in a patient-centric approach with a model that adapts to changes in physiology and habits of the patient. So here we have a first use case for the patient, centered around the patient, blood glucose prediction, sorry. So integrated into a logbook application that connects to the patient's tools, which is something common in the diabetes space. The digital twin is used to forecast future variations in blood glucose levels. And here, as opposed to the simulation, we don't alter the scenario, but rather when the outcome is uncertain, so the patient doesn't know where his glucose is heading, for example, or is at risk of doing an hyperglycemia, the digital twin can predict just excursions and propose dose recommendation to avoid what is predicted. And this empowers the patients with new information that he will use to assess the best way to prevent from any excursions. And well, so second use case is what is part of our partnership with Sanofi, and maybe you want to say what.
So you have the patient side, but you have also the HCP side. Okay, so we are able to help the patient on one side, but what if we can provide to the HCP, to the doctor, to the nurses, a personalized approach for the patient? Today we use, I would say, standard paper materials, standard guidelines, but we don't really personalize the approach, personalize the recommendation to the patient. And the idea of the collaboration that we have today with ILO is to be able to provide to the HCP, so doctors and nurses, a tool that allows them to work with the patient, to have a personalized not treatment, but personalized consults to the patient, and work on the patient journey and the behaviors together. So Stefan, can you tell us a little bit more of how do you see at ILO the version or the vision from the patient perspective?
Yes, okay, so if we go back to our digital twin, so here we have a web-based platform that HCPs can use. All the data are synced on that platform, so the glucose data, insulin injections, meal intakes, et cetera, et cetera. And using our digital twin, we have a two-step approach. So the first step is to extract the behavioral patterns and therapeutic habits of the patients that leads to glycemic excursions. So this enables the HCP to focus on areas where the patient may deviate from the optimal path in terms of glycemia. And this is really important because if you know the root cause, then you know how to assess the treatment, how to assess a new treatment plan to help the patient get back on that optimal path. So we extract the data so the HCP knows, and then what typically HCP would do is try to assess a new treatment plan. And how it's done today, it's a lengthy empirical trial and error process. So basically, you augment gradually the treatment, or you amend gradually the treatment. And then you monitor the glycemia of the patient over months to validate or invalidate the new strategy. That's how it's done today. But now with our simulator powered by the digital twin, HCPs can test new treatment or new strategies in silico and then have a better way for the patient, a safer way for the patient to assess new treatment plans and do it more efficiently. And I'd like to finish on this because we have 1 minute left. The partnership that we have with Sanofi, part of the partnership is to conduct pilot studies that are ongoing at the moment in reference clinical centers in France. And early results show that with our technology, we can save up to 40% of the analysis time by HCPs of the patient data and revolutionize the treatment adaptation process. And one last thing is, I'm afraid to announce that following these pilot studies, we plan on deploying our technology in France in mid-2024 with the support of Sanofi. And additionally, we are already exploring how we could deploy globally outside of France, Europe, and the US then. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. It's really great. Like I said, I'm a chief medical, so I did this. I had to modify the insulin therapy of patients, and it's a really a complex process. So what you're doing, guys, are great. What's the design of the study to assess the efficacy and security of your digital twins applied to this?
So the design of the study is the studies that we've been conducting so far and that are ongoing. We get data of the patient. So we onboard patients in the study. We get all the data through a month period in general, so data, insulin injection, CGM data, so it's real life data. And then we use that data to train all the digital twins. And then, because we don't want at this stage to give therapeutic recommendation directly to the patients, because it's a clinical study, it's the first one. What we do is the patient would go in visit, as usual, and then we replay the visit with the digital twin, and we assess if the physician would come to different conclusions, and if it's a better conclusion or not, or if it's easier for him, or if it's faster, etc., etc.
Maybe one last.
So I have two small questions. For how many patients have you already generated those digital twins? And the second question is, sorry, it's a question of a researcher, not really a data scientist, but have you identified any new evolution patterns that were unknown in some of your patients, some groups of patients behaving in a specific way?
Right, so far we have data over 100 patients over a month period each time, because we've been conducting multiple similar trial on the predictive engine and the simulation engine. And the new study would be about 100 to 150 patients, same design. And then what we do is we don't try to identify new patterns. What we want to do is to focus on the patient and find the pattern for him that is a problem. It's a bit different.
But I think it's really a valid question to look at maybe what we can do in the future with new patterns to maybe improve the identification actually of patients as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.